I haven't really digested this one. I have a fantasy about having someone prove their love and devotion and tying them up in a public place at night and making their body free use and seeing if they will f strangers for me.
So far, so good. Yeah, bed looks pretty comfy. It looks pretty good.
My wife, for the longest time, was convinced that I had what she called a frontal lobe issue, which I guess she says that's where you assess risk and danger and all that, and she says mine is just severely underdeveloped.
We've seen celebrities destroy their careers for many different reasons, but how many of them can say they were cancelled because of cannibalism? Well, Armie Hammer can. What's even more disturbing is that cannibalism is just one of many dark secrets lurking in the Hammer family. The roots of Armie's twisted psyche run deep, and the whole family has been plagued with disturbing allegations: cannibalism, murder, Russian spies, diamond smuggling, money laundering, corruption, you name it. The Hammer family's done it. Well, allegedly. So who are the Hammers really? Is the downfall of Armie Hammer the legacy of his family's dark past? Buckle up, because in this video we'll shine a light on the spine-chilling allegations against Armie Hammer and the history of crimes stretching through generations. The House of Hammer, Dark Family Secrets. Armie's unusual name comes from his great-grandfather Armand Hammer, a wealthy industrialist born in New York City to Jewish parents Rose and Julius Hammer, who emigrated from the former Russian Empire. After the Russian Revolution, Julius led a part of the Socialist Labor Party of America, which later went on to become an element of the Communist Party USA. He also served as the financial advisor of the Soviet Government Bureau, an organization that he funded by allegedly laundering money made from sales of smuggled diamonds. Due to his communist activities, Julius was put under federal surveillance, and in 1919 he was arrested after a woman whose pregnancy he helped terminate died of complications. He was indicted for first-degree manslaughter and sentenced to 3.5 years in prison. At the time of Julius's sentencing, his son Armand was 22 years old, and he took over his father's drug business. Armand spent 10 years traveling back and forth between the USA and the Soviet Union, and during his time in Soviet Russia, he allegedly mastered money laundering techniques. And because of this, he remained on the US government watch list for the rest of his life. Neil Linden, journalist and author of Armand's autobiography Hammer, described Armand as the most satanic man of the second half of the 20th century and the embodiment of sin and ruthless ego. So did Armie Hammer inherit this ruthlessness from his great-grandfather? Armand died of cancer in 1990, leaving behind his only child, Julian Armand Hammer, Armie Hammer's grandfather. According to Armie's aunt Casey, his father, Julian Armand, was a controlling and angry man who abused his wife Glenna for years. Casey also claimed that Julian always had drugs and young women around him at the house, and women were treated as disposable in the Hammer family.
When you say disposable, what do you mean by that?
Well, for instance, my father was an only child, so it wasn't a large family at all. And then you had my brother and myself, and my mom left my father when I was about 11 and was destroyed in court by my grandfather. So again, my grandfather did not respect women, and I was told all along as I look pretty, make sure I don't embarrass anybody, I would be taking care of the rest of my life. So no one took women seriously at all. But that's my normal, that's what I was used to. So it's something that's horrific to a lot of people, but that's all I knew, so that's a learned behavior.
Was there anyone?
In her memoir, Casey also claimed that her father physically and sexually abused her, and it took her years of therapy to recover her repressed memories.
The reason I wrote the book in the first place was as a healing, journaling for me. I was trying to make sense of what I had dealt with my whole childhood and my family, and you know, you find out that your mother's aware of all the abuse that's happening under her roof and didn't stop it or protect me. It was horrifying, but that's all I knew. It was how I grew up. It wasn't like we had social media back then, so it's kind of like I couldn't go to the neighbors and say, is this the way rich people act? Like, there was no frame of reference.
Besides Casey, Julian Hammer had a son, Michael, with his wife Glenna, and a daughter with another woman. Michael Hammer, Armie Hammer's father, was a businessman notorious for his shady art dealings. According to a Vanity Fair report, the art gallery Michael inherited from his grandfather was accused of selling around $70 million worth of fake paintings. In 1985, Michael Hammer married Drew Ann Mobley of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and the couple had 2 sons, Armie and Victor. And though Michael managed to keep his private life under wraps for years, the allegations against his son Armie sparked an interest in his life, and many bizarre rumors surfaced online. According to one of these rumors, Michael had a 7-foot throne in his house, and the throne reportedly featured a chair with a hole in the seat and a cage underneath it with a hook. As for Michael and his son Armie, it seems their relationship was just as toxic as Michael's relationship with his father Julian. In the summer of 2020, Armie spent the COVID-19 lockdown at a villa in the Cayman Islands with his father Michael and other family members, and he later said he felt like a trapped wolf who wanted to chew his own foot off. And when it come to Armie, his downfall was what really unearthed all the skeletons of the Hammer family. The downfall of Armie Hammer, allegations of torture, SA, and cannibalism. The downfall of Armie Hammer started in January 2021 when Instagram account at House of Effie, run by a woman who claimed she had a 4-year relationship with Armie, shared disturbing messages Armie allegedly sent her. In these messages, Armie talked about fantasizing about breaking the woman's bones and SAing her while breaking her ribs. He also talked about wanting to brand the woman, shave her head and keep her hair with him, take a piece of her skin, and make her cook it for him. Another message read, "I want to see your brain, your blood, your organs, every part of you." The woman responded to the messages telling Armie she belonged to him, which seemingly confirms they had some kind of a slave-master dynamic going on. However, you could also tell from her responses that she wasn't comfortable with the idea of Armie hurting her. After Armie told her that he craved her blood, the woman replied, "That topic, once again, it is very intense." But it didn't take long before other alleged victims came forward. The screenshots shared on House of Effie's account were getting increasingly more disturbing, with some messages seemingly showing that the women who engaged in these acts with Armie didn't give him their consent. After Armie told one woman she took it like a champ, she responded, "No, I didn't. I tried to crawl away and cried hysterically." And then several women came forward with claims that Armie was turned on by the idea of consuming human flesh. In one message, he allegedly wrote, "I need to eat your entire body. I want to consume every part of you. I want to bite pieces off of you." In March 2021, Effie, the woman behind the Instagram account at House of Effie, revealed her identity and appeared in a press conference revealing more details about an alleged attack that took place in 2017.
On April 24th, 2017, Armie Hammer randomly reached me for over 4 hours in Los Angeles, during which he repeatedly slapped my head against a wall, bruising my face. He also committed other acts of violence against me, to which I did not consent.
Meanwhile, Armie's ex-girlfriend Paige Lorenza also broke her silence and accused Armie of branding and bruising her, taking graphic photos of her without her consent, and repeatedly making references to cannibalism.
He carved a letter into your skin?
Yeah, he did. He just carved an A into me.
It got even more bizarre, Paige says, when Hammer brought up cannibalism.
He would say, "Oh, I want to remove your ribs. We're going to find a doctor in LA. And I want to smoke them and eat them."
Paige also claimed that Armie's mother, Drew, once told her Armie had demonic behaviors and that the devil was trying to take him. However, Armie responded to Paige's accusations via his attorney and called them patently untrue. And while many people questioned Effie's claims, Armie's ex-wife Elizabeth Chambers believed her. According to a family friend who spoke to Daily Mail, Elizabeth didn't want to admit it to herself at first, but eventually realized that the women were speaking the truth. In fact, by the time House of Effie started exposing Armie on Instagram, Elizabeth had already filed for divorce. Amid mounting allegations, Armie left Los Angeles and moved into a resort on the Cayman Islands, where eyewitnesses reported seeing him act strangely. It's quite horrifying, to be honest. He walks up and down West Bay Road with no shirt or shoes, without a care in the world, one source told Page 6. Always boisterous and obnoxious and full of himself. Meanwhile, filmmakers Eli Hakami and Julian Hobbs started digging deeper into the Hammer family's dark history, and the result of their work was a docuseries House of Hammer that explores disturbing family patterns of control and abuse. But then the story took another shocking turn in December 2021 when the LAPD concluded its investigation into Armie's alleged crimes, and TMZ reported that the case was weak and unlikely to lead to charges. However, this doesn't mean the case is closed, and the LA County District Attorney's Office will have the final say over Armie Hammer's fate. The future of Armie Hammer. In February 2023, Armie broke his silence on the allegations made against him in an interview with Airmail, and he denied any wrongdoing. Armie admitted that he used and manipulated women for his own pleasure. However, he claimed everything that happened was consensual. "I had a very intense and extreme lifestyle. I would scoop up these women, bring them into this whirlwind of travel and sex and drugs and big emotions flying around. And then as soon as I was done, I'd just drop them off and move on to the next woman, leaving that woman feeling abandoned or used." Armie also revealed that he was abused by his youth pastor for almost a year when he was 13, and he claimed this experience sparked his interest in BDSM. I was powerless in the situation. I had no agency in the situation. My interests then went to, I want to have control in the situation. Armie also admitted that the power dynamics were off. In the relationships he had with women, however, he categorically denied any criminal wrongdoing and claimed the encounters were all consensual. I would have these younger women in their mid-20s, and I'm in my 30s. I was a successful actor at the time. They could have been happy to just be with me and would have said yes to things that maybe they wouldn't have said yes to on their own. Armie said he wants to take accountability for being selfish and using people to make himself feel better. And he also insisted that he is now a healthier, happier, more balanced person. While it remains to be seen if any charges will be brought against Armie, it's safe to say he will never recover his leading man status in Hollywood. But let's hear your thoughts on the downfall of Armie Hammer. Do you think his career is over for good? Comment down below, and if this story creeped you out, don't miss out on this next video.